Hey, this is just a short video on how to make Jer's special Get Her Done sketchbook from an old book. So let's get into the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need some sort of clamps, you're going to need a pliers, razors for cutting, needle and thread, glue stick, scissors, and most importantly, an old hardcover book. And I'll get a close-up of this and show you exactly what type of book you should be looking for in just a second. The last thing you're going to need is just some paper. You can use any type of paper for this. This is just plain white copy paper, typing paper, whatever you want to call it. And first thing I want to say is this is kind of my method, all right? And the reason why I call it the Get Her Done sketchbook is because these things are not meant to be, beautiful. I just kind of make them for fun. Here's an example. Here's one I made just for me and my daughter. And she signed her name. Here I have a very sensible picture. And then she obviously has a sensible picture as well. But anyway, these are kind of just simple little sketchbook things that you can make. If you want them to look better, like I could have cut these edges a lot better. I just kind of don't care. Just take more time cutting your pages and doing these steps as you go. And this will give you the basics of just how to transform one of these old hardcover books into a sketchbook that you can use for whatever. So, first things first is you've got to find the right type of book. Some people like to keep the dust covers on or take them off. This one, I mean, look at that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Elk. It's got this old vintage green. It's got some gold going on the side there. Not bad. The first thing you want to look for is this first page. So it's really important to see that this page, see how that's glued to the first page? See? If you look really closely here, you can see that right here, this page is glued to the first page, right? So that's holding in that first page, and we want this to be our anchor point for our new set of pages that we're going to be putting in, okay? So the first thing you're going to want to just lightly tear this. It's just glued in there. It's usually really old glue, and you want to just tear this out, taking care not to rip it. See? Okay, now you can see that here, where that glue was, I'm starting to expose the spine of the book here now. Okay, this page is now virtually free from the book. See, it's no longer pulling that front page, and we can just leave that like this. And now the next step, we're going to want to do the same to this side, and then we're going to cut out the pages. We're going to cut out all the old pages. So let's flip this to this side. And here you can really see just how I'm tearing away. There we go. Just comes loose there. And now we've got the back page free and stuck to that cover. Okay. Now from here, we're going to cut out this. We're going to cut out the contents of the book. So right here is where we want to cut. And here, be careful not to go through with the razor, because this area here is really thin and often old. So don't, when you're chopping through, don't push too hard and cut through this backing here. There we go. We can see this part coming off here. Do the same to the other side now. Cool. And now the book is free. We got it out. So what you're left with is this thing here. Just a cover. And you've got these front pages here, which we can still use to anchor, and an empty book inside. So now what we have to do is make what's called leaves, right? So if we look at this book, you can notice that these pages are bunched together into groups, right? So you can always see that books have groups of pages that are all bunched together. And so what you do is you get a bunch of pages, and first of all, we're going to have to cut them to the correct size, right? So in order to cut them to the correct size, we're going to use this as a template. I chose this book because it's almost, see, it's the exact same size as A4 there. And these pages are going to be a little bit smaller. So we have to basically find out when we half this how big it will be in comparison to the book. Often you'll have to cut your pages after you fold them. So let's get on to folding our pages. So next thing you're going to want to do is just grab a stack. This is about 10 pieces. I just do it kind of by feel. And you're going to want to basically estimate how many pieces of paper you can push a needle through, right? So just get a feel for that. This might be a little bit too thick. Make it a little bit smaller. And here, just fold over. Right? And then once you've got this folded, you're gonna want to sew on this line, right? Cool. So now what you want to do is, obviously it's too hard to push with my hand, so I actually grab a pliers and I just force the needle through. Now you're going to notice that often your knot is too small on your thread, and in this case I did this backwards. You could also use like an awl to make these holes. Go from the back, and then your strings will all be on the back. Then you won't have loose strings in the front, right? So watch this little trick though that I do to ensure that this works. What I do is I go through the other side that's left over, and see, now it is on, this portion is in the back, right? The knot is in the back, so we can hide that later. And now we've got our knot there, so it won't pull out. It's not going to pull through that hole. I told you, this is not the official tutorial. You can watch other videos on bookmaking. I'm sure some are losing their minds, but this is just one way to get the job done. You just push on through. Sometimes you can even hold it, see? Hold it in there, stick it and hold it, and then push it through with the pliers. Yeah. You can see we've already kind of got some pages going on here. So I'm going to keep finishing this one up, and you're going to want to make probably like 7 or 8 of these, right? So this takes a little bit of time, but yeah, I'm just going to keep going, keep sewing, and get more of these done. So now I've got a pile of 6 of these leaves, and you want your pile to be about the same height as the book that you took out, right? So then it'll fit properly. Next thing we're going to have to do is cut the pages. So we're using this as our template. We can see that these pages are obviously too long if we put them into the book. So we're just going to start cutting our pages down to size. And to do that, I just basically get an idea how much I need to cut off, and you can make a simple mark or whatever, and that'll give you an idea where to cut. So now you've got your backs, and you can see there's these little areas where there's little loops, and you're going to want to just tie all of these things together. Kind of hard to do with one hand. But yeah, see how that you're just starting to tie everything together. And I just do this, you know, time as tight as I can, and just secure everything together into one block. Yeah. So once you got these all tied together, you're just going to want to put some glue down right along all of them, and then just smear it around on all those pages to kind of get in those cracks. And all those places there. I'll just take a piece of paper, some glue stick on it, good. And now here's where your clamps come in. These aren't the best clamps, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Good. Just clamp everything together on both sides and let it dry. Now you've got this block of paper, basically, and you can just put that inside your hardcover. And the next part is you're going to want to take this page and simply glue it to this page, right? So we're just going to glue that, and that's going to hold this book in, okay? And for that, I just use the glue stick And this glue stick, I've noticed, goes on a kind of goes on the next pages, so I'm gonna put that down just so I don't get all my pages all wrinkly. Simply glue those two pages together. And let that dry. Then you just glue this page as well. So there you got it. Again, like I said, this is not, you know, the prettiest thing in the world, but it's a working sketchbook. It's like 100 pages or so. And yeah, does the job. You can be chilling out on the train or something and people will be like, oh, who's that interesting guy reading that old vintage book? And then they open it and they're like, oh, that's a sketchbook? Anyway, yeah, I like making them. They're fun. And when you have a lot of pages and a lot of paper, you know, it's easier to just blow through it and not care about it. And I think one thing about learning to draw and paint that's really important is to just have tons of materials, tons of cheap materials. So you can make this for, you can make 5 of these things for the cost of typing paper that you take from where you work. So basically free, yeah. And yeah, people can put, you can put like maps in the front or old postcards or whatever, use them for sketchbooks or scrapbooks, whatever. But yeah, there's Jer's Get Her Done Vintage Sketchbook Conversion. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe if you like these sort of videos. You know, do that. Help me out. Thanks.